Guanidinoacetic acid, when supplemented during the finishing phase, especially 2 months before the slaughter. So, during that time, it has shown improvement not only in the growth performance, but also improved the carcass quality, especially lean meat yield, and also the reducing the backfat thickness.
Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Greiner, your host for today's Swine podcast. And with me today, I have Dr. Balachandar Jayaraman from Evonik. Bala, how are you today?
Hi, Laura. I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you very much. Well, Bala, we're excited to have you on today on this podcast. I think we have some really interesting things to discuss. But before we jump into the topic, maybe I will have you do a little introduction about yourself, just for our listeners, so they're a little bit familiar with who you are and where you're currently at.
Yeah. Thank you, Laura. I'm Balachandar Jayaraman. So Bala is easy to call me. I'm currently working as a swine research manager with Evonik, and I started my role as a technical service manager, and I have been working with Evonik for the past 6 years. About my education, I'm basically a veterinarian from India. Then I had my master's in poultry nutrition from Dalhousie University, Canada, and my PhD in swine nutrition, and I worked under Professor Martin Yachetti. Yeah, and I worked on amino acid, SID determination, especially the weed pig subjected to challenge. Yeah.
Okay. Well, very good. So I think this will be a fun conversation today. And maybe we'll just kind of have you jump in right at the topic at hand. So we were discussing before this call, and I actually just sat in a webinar a couple of weeks ago about it's a product. It's not really a commercial product. It's just it's a chemical, if you will, that we can find in the environment, but it has the potential to work well with some of our amino acids. And I'm really excited because I know you've been doing some work in this, and I think it would be fun to share with the group. And I am horrible at pronouncing it. I'm just going to put it out there from the audience to understand. But we are talking about guanidinoacetic acid. And I think that's actually, again, we maybe should just start there because one, I'm not pronouncing it right. But two, to have you talk a little bit about what it is. And so I'm going to turn that over to you, Bala, to explain a little bit about what that acetic acid is.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks for the interest on the guanidinoacetic acid. So guanidinoacetic acid is a natural precursor, and which is a immediate precursor for creatine, which is very much essential for all vertebrates, okay, and also for invertebrates. So here, this is mainly synthesized from arginine and glycine, the endogenous amino acid, and from that it is synthesized in the kidney and transported to the liver, where with the help of other amino acids like sulfur amino acids, it forms creatine, and this creatine is transported to the skeletal muscle, where it is stored primarily. So it is stored in the form of creatine and the phosphocreatine, which are the energy reservoir for cells, for all the muscle cells. So besides skeletal muscle, so this is present in a brain and also other tissues of the body. Okay, with respect to this creatine, which is very essential for the energy homeostasis in the muscle, and this can be available from the natural sources like meat and meat products. This one is not available in any of the vegetable-based ingredient. So meat and meat product is the only source for guanidinoacetic acid and creatine. With that, the guanidinoacetic acid, which is very much essential for day-to-day living of the animals, because only 67% is synthesized endogenously, and the remaining 30 to 33 must be fed in the diet in the form of other sources. That is how it is playing a role, because in the modern genetics, the genetic potential, the muscle growth is very fast. Within a short span of time, they gain significant body weight. So the energy metabolism need to be maintained well for normal growth and also enhanced production.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's actually very interesting. And so we'll kind of break that down a little bit for the listeners. And so guanidinoacetic acid is really around being a precursor for creatinine, and creatinine is needed for muscle development. And in order to do that, we're getting those precursors of arginine and glycine. Or in order to go from the precursor to creatine, we need the glycine and the arginine. Um, as you mentioned, I think that's really interesting too, that 33% of it has to come from a source. We can't make it all, or the pig can't make it all. And so we start to kind of take this apart a little bit, and we talk about current day genetics and their fast growth. There's concern that maybe we're not meeting the guanidinoacetic acid requirements. Would that be a fair comment based on what you're talking about here?
Right, right. Yeah, this guanidinoacetic acid cannot be met when the normal diet, corn, soybean meal based diet is fed, because as I told you, the meat and meat products is the only natural source. There exists some restrictions in usage of animal byproducts in the feed, and uh, and also the quality of the meat products is also not consistent. So there exists huge variation in the creatine and guanidinoacetic acid content in the meat and meat based product. So that is the reason the feed additive supplementation will be helpful to meet the creatine need for livestock, especially for swine and poultry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's really intriguing. So before we kind of jump into the research that you're wanting to share with the group, I want to talk just a little bit more about the meat products. So you mentioned that not all meat ingredients or products that are based from meat have the same value. So are there some meat products that might have more value, like a fish product or a poultry product, or is it more on the processing of the product?
Yeah, very nice question. It depends on the processing of the product. The first thing, fish meal, poultry byproduct meal, meat cum bone meal. So they contain creatine, the guanidinoacetic acid, but the variation is too much. Even within the same fish meal or meat cum bone meal, the variation is huge. So when we plug into the diet formulation, so it won't be very consistent. And as I told you, so this inconsistency, beside that, the quality is a big challenge, especially for countries which are using meat and meat cum products in the livestock diets. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Very good. So I think this is important because we don't today in the United States balance on creatinine level or guanidinic acid level in the diet. It is not a conversation that we have on a regular basis. And so some of the work that you've done recently, you've been looking at the guanidinic acid in grow finished pigs. And so maybe let's start there. Explain to the audience a little bit about what you did for a study, and then we can lead into maybe some of your findings. Let's just start first on growth and what we saw, or what you saw in those studies.
Yeah. So this guanidinoacetic acid is not a new type of research. So this has been worked in human. So it starts with the human, because for the bodybuilders they use this creatine or guanidinoacetic acid in their diet. So for the muscle enhancers, for the athletes, also bodybuilders, because they consistently need energy for their muscle cells. Then that concept was applied in the animal side, and this, there is almost like a more than a 10 years of research that has been conducted. Especially it started with poultry and also in swine. So in swine, we try to focus on the growth. So especially for the growing finishing pigs, this guanidinoacetic acid supplementation was done. Before that, I just want to share, creatine monohydrate was used before, but there is a challenge with the usage because of the stability, and also it is very expensive because it is a human-based product. With that in mind, the guanidinoacetic acid concept was developed, and this is immediate precursor for creatine, and it is highly metabolizable. So we first tried with growing finishing pigs for enhancing the growth, and we tried to determine what would be the optimal dosage level that can be applied for the growing finishing pig, and we did a couple of studies in Vietnam and also throughout the globe, and we could see that when guanidinoacetic acid is supplemented at the rate of 900 to 1000 grams per metric ton of wheat, it helped to improve the muscle weight gain, that is final body weight, average daily gain, and also it improved the gains to feed ratio, especially the growing finishing pigs. And we also tried with from wean to finishing pigs, and that also showed a promising improvement in the growth performance. And with that, and also we evaluated the carcass quality characteristics, because this guanidinoacetic acid is maintaining the energy homeostasis in the muscle. So we want to see the carcass quality, which is very important for the swine industry. And there we could see a significant improvement in the lean meat, carcass weight, and also it significantly reduced the backfat thickness in the finishing pigs. In majority of the countries, the pork quality is evaluated based on the backfat thickness, how much the low, so that will go for the higher price. So this one, guanidinoacetic acid is helping to reduce the backfat thickness in the finishing pigs. And with respect to other meat quality parameters, guanidinoacetic acid supplementation help in increase the pH and also reducing the drip loss. So the drip loss is a big challenge for swine processing units. So when we reduce that, so it would be helpful to have a good final meat quality or pork product.
Yeah, so you answered a lot of my questions there on carcass and particularly pH and drip loss. So based on what I'm hearing you say is feeding that 900 to 1,000 grams of guanidinic acid per kilogram of metabolic body weight. You were seeing these improvements in growth and in carcass. And so if you have a lean meat improvement and you've improved carcass weight, obviously you're improving lean percent, but are you changing the yield percentage of the animal as well? Or is this really more we're changing the lean percent of the carcass?
Actually, the lean yield is also significantly improved when we tried 1200 gram per metric ton. So the range, what we advise is the 900 to 1200 gram per metric ton. So that one improved the lean meat quantity and also the lean meat yield. So both we see the increase in the yield.
Okay. Yeah, I can remember many years ago doing some work, not myself, but some other grad students on creatine in particular and muscle quality. And so I think that's really interesting that we're bringing it back. But you're absolutely right. Creatine is not something that we can financially put into pig diets. And so guanidinic acid is of course that next step since it's a precursor. One of my questions, and I'm going to kind of go back a little bit on the biochemistry, is if guanidinic acid is the precursor to creatine and we need to use amino acids to get that guanidinic acid converted to creatine, does that then change the amount of those amino acids that need to go into the diet?
Good question. Yeah, Laura. So this guanidinoacetic acid, as I told you, so endogenously it can be synthesized using arginine and glycine, and they form the guanidinoacetic acid, and in the liver it is transported then with the help of the methyl group, the sulfur amino acid. So the creatine formation is happening. Yes, in this one, the arginine glycine it can be utilized for synthesis of guanidinoacetic acid, and also at the final time product, final metabolism, this arginine can be available after the final metabolism of the guanidino or creatine, guanidinoacetic acid or creatine. So in that way, the arginine sparing effect is also seen in poultry, so which is very much well established.
Okay, so we're sparing arginine through this process.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually very good. Any thoughts on using just the guanidinoacetic acid right before market? So if people are considering it from a cost perspective, and obviously many people in the United States are thinking about ways to replace ractopamine. And here you have a product that can improve percent lean. Is this something that we could feed 3 weeks before the pig goes to market? Do we need this in 2 months before the pig goes to market? What's do you feel the optimal time to include it to see the most significant improvement?
Yeah, perfect. Again, a nice question. You are absolutely right. The ractopamine usage is very common in US. And also many know about the challenges of using ractopamine and also the negative impacts. Having said that, guanidinoacetic acid, when supplemented during the finishing phase, especially 2 months before the slaughter. So during that time, it has shown improvement not only in the growth performance, but also improved the carcass quality, especially lean meat yield, and also the reducing the backfat thickness. So that would be more comfortable for the producers also to utilize during the finishing phase, so they can increase the body weight and also the final meat yield. Yeah.
Right. You also said that we saw an improvement in average daily gain and I assume feed efficiency. How much different is the feed efficiency response between using the product and not?
Yeah, we have seen in a different range in different trials. So I would say we could see around 5 to 10 point difference between the control and also the guanidinoacetic acid supplementation in the dosage of 900 to 1200 gram per metric ton. In addition, there is also lots of research conducted in broiler and also some happening in swine, the energy sparing effect. So, because this guanidinoacetic acid is very much maintaining the energy homeostasis in the cell, so the energy sparing effect is also well established. It has been shown from 50 to 100 kilocalories energy reduction can be done, and this energy sparing can be done by guanidinoacetic acid.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we have an energy sparing, so we get some calories out of this, and we also see that 5 to 10 point difference in feed efficiency, which, right, of course, helps communicate that there is that true value in finishing when we have such a high feed efficiency value, right? What about things associated with heat stress and even in sows? So I'm curious, right? We talk about our very lean sows. We know they lose muscle over time. Even in heat stress, we see this high amount of energy going towards managing heat stress. Have you looked at any of those types of situations and tried to measure the impact of feeding guanidinoacetic acid to those?
Yeah, Laura, that's a really very interesting thing, because heat stress is one of the major challenge in most of the tropical countries and also in some of the temperate countries. So in broilers, it has been very much established that guanidinoacetic acid helps in improving the performance and improving the carcass quality in broilers. In swine, we are conducting some trials, especially under heat stress challenge, the impact of guanidinoacetic acid on the performance and carcass quality. I think during the next few quarters of the year, we can expect to see some data on it. Yeah, officially. Yeah, but it's a very interesting thing which we are working right now. Yeah, heat stress.
Yeah.
And with respect to sows. Yes, studies have been conducted in the sows to see the impact of GAA supplementation, and it has shown that it helps to improve the newborn piglets, the live newborn piglets, and also it increases the number of weaned piglets. After during that stage, it helps improve the quality and performance of the piglets.
Okay. So when you say it improves the newborn piglet, are you improving the number of live-born, or are you changing something else about the newborn piglet?
It's a number of litter weight, and also number of newborn with the less deformities. Yeah.
Okay. Well, very interesting. So many interesting aspects to this that maybe some of our audience hasn't thought about or in the past have considered, but with creatine being so expensive, really weren't able to pursue in those options. So based on some of your research today, and I know you work for a company that sells the product, but based on your research today, where would be some key points that you would recommend producers think about implementing GAA in the diets?
Yeah, sure. Guanidinoacetic acid, as I told you, is a very essential critical nutrient, especially for immediate precursor for the creatine. And this guanidinoacetic supplementation is beneficial for swine, especially in improving the growth performance, the final body weight, and also there is a significant improvement in the gain to feed ratio. We can expect a minimum of 5-point improvement, and also it also helps improving the carcass quality, which is a major essential thing for swine industry, and it reduces the backfat thickness. And the application of guanidinoacetic acid is still growing a lot. So energy sparing effect. So you can try to reduce the energy based ingredient, which is very much need for the hour, because the feed cost is escalating like anything. And also originate sparing is also well established. So in that way, it can complement together in improving the growing finishing pigs, and also in sow application, it is helpful in improving the sow performance and the litter weight and newborn piglet.
Well, perfect. Thank you for that summary and those suggestions, particularly on the different things that GAA can do in terms of targeting very specific interests that some of our producers may have. And so obviously, if they have concerns in those areas, this might be an option to consider into their nutrition program.
It's time for our famous 3.
Evonik stands for a holistic and sustainable value proposition for livestock production. It combines products and services and leverages digital solutions. This is all backed with high-value consultancy and deep customer understanding. Evonik turns science-based efficient nutrition, sustainable healthy nutrition, and precision livestock farming into value for customers and consumers.
A worldwide leader in animal nutrition, Adiceo's portfolio of products includes methionine, the full range of vitamins, enzymes, organic selenium, probiotics, mycotoxin management strategies, and palatability products. With such a diverse offering, Adiceo supports its customers with a broad range of expertise, tools, and services to help them maintain a competitive advantage. Adiceo, fueling predictable profits. To learn more, visit Adiceo at www.adiceo.com.
Well, I really have appreciated our visit today, Bala, and our time is kind of wrapping up. And so I like to ask our guest speakers a couple of questions. All get the same questions. And the first question we like to ask is, do you have a resource that you go to for swine or that you would recommend based on this topic?
Yeah, absolutely. So this you can get access to the podcast, lots of podcasts available, and also you can see Pig Progress, and also the All About Feed. So those sites would be beneficial, and also the Asian Agribiz, that site is also having lots of information about the guanidinoacetic acid and related things. Yeah.
Mhm. Perfect. The second question I like to ask our speaker is around anything that maybe you're reading that's not related to pigs. Is there something that you would like to share with the group that you're currently reading or have read in the past that you think would be of interest?
Okay, it's very interesting. I would I'm reading for the second time the book named Atomic Habits, which is really interesting because we try to change some habit or we try to develop some new habits, which is in the positive impact. So I find that Atomic Habits is really very thought provoking and which is improving our self empowerment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I might need to look at that. I try to create new habits and I don't always stick to them. So that is a very good book to maybe explore why habits don't always stick. So very good. The last question I have for you, Bala, focuses on if you can think of someone in your life that you have defined as successful, what's a key trait that they possess that you think has allowed them to be successful?
There are many qualities which I can share, but one main thing which we need to have for a successful person is that the perseverance. So whatever the challenges, whatever the what to say, the negative things that may be surrounding during the task or during a project or any kind of life activity. So how determined we are, and also the love we have on our task or any work, so that will be more helpful in achieving success. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think perseverance is a great one. I've heard that actually from a couple of our speakers recently, and actually visiting with some people in our swine industry. They said that's something they'd really like to see from our new young leaders, is that experience with perseverance and knowing, how to move forward when things are difficult and keep moving in the right direction. So I think that's a perfect trait to have to be successful. Bala, again, I want to thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure visiting with you. I've learned some more information about guanidinoacetic acid, and I think I can actually pronounce it correctly now at the end of our podcast. So that's a good day as well. For our listeners, this is Dr. Bala Jayaraman, and he is with Evonik. Bala, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Laura. So it's my pleasure to have a discussion and also share my views and thoughts. And thank you so much for your time. And also glad to share the feedback. Yeah. Thank you.